You walked through the front door tonight, and the house was full of sound, dishes clattering, voices overlapping, laughter bouncing off walls. And yet the moment you stepped inside, something in your chest tightened into a fist. Not because the room was cold, because it was warm for everyone except you. You stood in the doorway of a place that was supposed to be home, and you felt what only a certain kind of soul ever learns to feel. The specific, surgical loneliness of being surrounded and still completely alone. It was not dramatic. It did not announce itself. It simply settled over you like a film of quiet glass, and you smiled through it the way you always do, the way you have practiced since you were young enough to understand that your realness made other people uncomfortable. There is a dinner that lives inside your memory and refuses to leave. It might have been Thanksgiving or Christmas or just an ordinary Sunday when the family gathered and you sat in your usual chair and felt the full weight of your own invisibility pressing down on your sternum like a stone. Someone was telling a story, others were laughing, and you were there, physically, technically, legally present, but your soul was somewhere else entirely, hovering just above the table, watching the scene unfold with the detached grief of someone who has long since stopped expecting to be seen. You passed the food. You nodded at the right moments. You performed the ritual of belonging with the precision of someone who has had years to rehearse it. But your jaw was tight. Your throat was holding something back. And in the private country behind your eyes, you were asking the question that chosen ones have always asked in rooms that cannot contain them. Is something wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. I need you to let that sentence move through you slowly, not as a platitude, but as a diagnosis, a correction of a lie that was written into your nervous system before you were old enough to defend yourself. What you experienced at that table was not a reflection of your deficiency. It was the collision of two completely incompatible frequencies in a shared physical space. You were carrying a vibration that the room was not calibrated to receive. Your realness, your depth, your refusal to be entirely hollow in a hollow environment. These were not problems. They were evidence. Evidence that you were never built for that particular container, no matter how many years you spent trying to shrink yourself to fit inside it. That is why in the trilogy, The 3 Keys to a Prosperous Life, the link is in the pinned comment, I explain the spiritual mechanics behind why chosen ones experience this specific brand of isolation from the very people who were supposed to be their foundation. Because this loneliness you have been carrying is not an accident, and it is not a mystery. It is a pattern with a name, a cause, and most importantly, an end. Go find that material right now, because what I'm about to tell you next requires you to have the full framework so the healing can go all the way to the root instead of stopping at the surface. The shower is where you finally let it happen. When the day was too heavy and the performance of okayness had exhausted every last reserve you had, you turned the water on and you stood under it, and you allowed your face to do what your face never got to do in any room where other people were watching. The tears came differently there, not the clean, cinematic kind, the heaving, animal kind, the kind that originates somewhere below language, somewhere beneath thought, in the oldest and most unguarded chamber of the human body. Your shoulders shook with the weight of a grief you could not even fully name. Your chest contracted around a wound that had no clear single origin, only the accumulated pressure of years of being subtly, persistently, daily told, through dismissals and interruptions and glazed eyes and redirected conversations, that your interior life was simply too much. That your presence was a kind of inconvenience, that the safest version of you was the quieter one, the one who asked less, expected less, revealed less. That cry under the shower was not weakness. It was your soul refusing to lie anymore. Somewhere in the spiritual atmosphere above that bathroom, something was witnessing the full weight of what you were carrying, and it was not turning away. There is a dimension of reality that your five senses cannot access, but that your body has always known is there. The invisible architecture behind every visible thing, the realm where the unseen forces that govern your story actually operate. And in that realm, your tears were not falling unnoticed. They were being received. Every single one of them was being held by hands that do not drop things, catalogued by a consciousness that forgets nothing, and woven into a plan so precise and so patient that from inside the pain, it is almost impossible to believe it exists. But it does exist, and the proof is that you are still here. You did not dissolve under the weight of what was done to you and what was withheld from you. You are still standing, still feeling, still reaching for something more true than what you were handed. That is not luck. That is not mere resilience. That is the fingerprint of a destiny that refused to be extinguished by the people and environments assigned to minimize it. The loneliness you felt in that house, at that table, under that shower, it was the growing pain of a soul that was always too large for its original container. And you need to understand what that container actually was, because the structure of it matters to your healing. The family system that could not hold you was not simply dysfunctional in the ordinary human way. It was, whether those inside it knew it consciously or not, a spiritually engineered environment. Narcissistic family systems do not produce suppression by accident. They are calibrated across generations to replicate one primary function: to keep the most luminous members of the bloodline from ever fully stepping into their authority. Because the system understands, on some cellular, inherited, almost pre-verbal level, that if the chosen one wakes up completely, if the fire inside them burns at its full intended height, the entire architecture of false hierarchy collapses. And so, every tool available was deployed against you. Your sensitivity was relabeled as weakness. Your discernment was relabeled as paranoia. Your gifts were met not with celebration, but with a specific, targeted, almost surgical silence. What was operating through those family members was older and darker than mere human jealousy. It was an intelligence that understood your assignment before you did. The enemy does not waste strategic energy on people who pose no threat. The intensity of the opposition you faced inside your own home was, in its own twisted way, a confirmation of what you carry. You do not send an army to crush a footnote. You send an army to crush a king. And the fact that the warfare began so early, so close, so personally, is itself a form of testimony. The people closest to you were the first instruments of delay because they were the most accessible, the most trusted, the most capable of making the lies feel true. But here is what the enemy miscalculated. Every instrument of delay that heaven allows to operate in a chosen one's life eventually becomes a catalyst for the very thing it was trying to prevent. Think about Joseph. Not the Sunday school version softened for children, but the real, raw, devastating sequence of what actually happened to that young man. He had dreams. He had genuine, God-given, prophetic dreams about his future and his purpose. And the people who were supposed to celebrate those dreams, his own brothers, his own blood, stripped him of his coat and threw him into a pit and sold him for 20 pieces of silver and went home and ate dinner. Let that land fully for a moment. They ate dinner while he was down there. And yet heaven was not absent from that pit. The trajectory of Joseph's destiny did not change when his brothers betrayed him. It simply changed location. The betrayal was not the end of the story. It was the corridor. It was the very passage through which his authority would eventually walk. And the brothers who meant it for evil could not stop what God had already decided. They could delay the arrival. They could not cancel the destination. David was not even invited to his own anointing. When Samuel came to Jesse's house to identify the next king of Israel, his father did not consider him worth calling in from the fields. Jesse paraded 7 sons before the prophet, and none of them were chosen. And it was only when Samuel pressed the question, "Are these all your children?" that someone remembered the youngest one, the overlooked one, the one deemed too unimportant to include in the conversation about his own destiny. But God's eyes had been on David the entire time. In the fields where no one was watching, where no one was applauding, where the only audience was the sky and the sheep and the silence, that is where God was watching most intently. Because what a chosen one does when no one is watching is the truest measurement of who they actually are. Your hidden seasons were never hidden from the one who placed the assignment inside you. They were your training ground. The wilderness that you walked through, the long stretches of silence, the seasons where the phone did not ring, where the invitations stopped coming, where you sat inside your own solitude and wondered if you had somehow fallen through the cracks of God's attention. That wilderness was not abandonment. It was the most intensive period of formation you will ever know. God does not build his most dangerous vessels in the noise and comfort of community. He builds them in the stripped-down, distraction-free, ego-dissolving environment of genuine aloneness. Every chosen one who has ever been trusted with significant kingdom assignment has walked through a wilderness season that felt, from the inside, indistinguishable from being forgotten. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before the burning bush. Elijah sat under a juniper tree and told God he had had enough. Even Jesus himself, immediately after his baptism, immediately after the voice from heaven declared his identity out loud, was led by the Spirit into 40 days of wilderness. The wilderness is not where chosen ones go to die. It is where they go to become dangerous. As I teach deeply in the material, The 3 Keys to a Prosperous Life, I left the link for you in the pinned comment. This pain is actually the signal that your next season is already forming in the spiritual realm before it manifests in the visible one. What you have been enduring is not permanent infrastructure. It is transitional pressure. And the intensity of the pressure is in direct proportion to the weight of what is coming. Go find that material and let it meet you where you actually are. Because what I am building toward in the rest of this message requires you to understand not just what you survived, but what you are being prepared to step into. You were different at every table you ever sat at, and you felt that difference in your body before you had language for it. You noticed things other people did not notice. You felt things other people did not feel. You asked questions that made adults uncomfortable when you were still a child. And instead of being told that this was a gift, instead of having someone recognize the unusual quality of your perception and give it a name and a direction, you were handed a label. Too sensitive, too intense, too much, too deep, too serious, too different. The people around you looked at your flame, and instead of recognizing it as light, experienced it as heat. Because the light that comes from a chosen one does not just illuminate rooms, it exposes them. It reveals what is hidden in the corners. It makes the comfortable uncomfortable. And people do not thank you for making them see what they have spent years convincing themselves is not there. This is what I need you to understand about the irritation your presence caused in certain people. It was never really about you. When your mere existence in a room created tension without you doing anything provocative, when your silence made certain family members agitated, when your discernment made people defensive before you even spoke, you were watching a spiritual phenomenon, not a personal one. Light does not make darkness uncomfortable by accident. It is the nature of what light is. When you carry something genuinely luminous, you do not need to announce it, or perform it, or weaponize it. Its presence alone is enough to disturb whatever has been living comfortably in the dark. And the people who reacted to you most harshly were not reacting to your personality. They were reacting to what your presence revealed about theirs. The envy always came disguised as concern. It wore the costume of wisdom. It arrived in the form of advice, given with furrowed brows and gentle, patronizing tones, as though the person speaking was doing you a tremendous favor by pointing out everything that was wrong with how you moved through the world. You are too idealistic. You need to be more realistic. You are setting yourself up for disappointment. Why can't you just be normal? Why do you always have to make things complicated? The criticism was constant, and the delivery was calibrated to make you feel like the kindness of it should make you grateful. But underneath the gentle tone, underneath the concerned expression, something else was operating, something that recognized in your dreaming a direct indictment of their own settled smallness. Something that understood if you succeeded, if you actually became what you were designed to become, it would rewrite the story that the entire system had told about what was possible for people like you. But here is what happened to Joseph's brothers. Here is what makes the story not just ancient history, but a living template for your exact situation. The very brothers who threw him into the pit eventually bowed before him, not because Joseph sought revenge, not because he spent his years in Egypt plotting their humiliation, but because the destiny they tried to destroy eventually outgrew every container they tried to trap it in. The pit could not hold it. Potiphar's house could not hold it. Even prison could not hold it. Because what God assigns, no human opposition has the final authority to cancel. The betrayal was real. The pain was real. The years of injustice were real, but none of it was final, and neither is yours. David, who was overlooked in his own father's house, who was hunted across deserts by the king he served faithfully, who slept in caves and cried psalms into the darkness when the weight of the injustice was almost too heavy to carry. That same David wrote the words that have sustained chosen ones across 3,000 years of wilderness seasons. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. He did not write that from a throne. He wrote it from a cave. He wrote it from the middle of the thing, from inside the pressure, from the place that looked like abandonment and was actually apprenticeship. And the God who was with him in the cave is the same God who has been with you in every silent, invisible, crushing season you have walked through since the first time you sat at a table and felt the glass wall go up between yourself and everyone around you. And Jesus, the one who was called a friend of sinners by the religious people who despised him, who was questioned, mocked, accused of operating by demonic power by the very spiritual leaders of his day, who was ultimately betrayed by someone who sat at his table and shared his bread. Even he knew the particular anguish of being most deeply wounded by the familiar. The people who should have recognized him most clearly were the ones most committed to his destruction. And yet even that betrayal, even that abandonment, even those hours of darkness that felt like the complete annihilation of everything, even that was not the end. It was the corridor. Every attack on your light by people who should have been its protectors has been following the same ancient pattern, and the pattern always ends the same way. What you are standing on the edge of right now is the turning of a page so significant that the enemy has been working double time to make sure you are too wounded, too guarded, too exhausted to receive it. He has sent counterfeits wrapped in spiritual language. He has orchestrated encounters designed to re-wound the places that were just beginning to heal. He has used your history of rejection to build a case in your nervous system that genuine connection is a fantasy, that the kind of alignment you have ached for simply does not exist for people like you, that you might as well accept the loneliness as your permanent condition, because at least it is familiar and familiar is safe. Do not believe that case. The enemy builds his strongest arguments out of your deepest fears, and the fact that he is working this hard to keep you closed is itself evidence that what is coming toward you is real. Because here is the shift that is happening right now in the invisible architecture behind your life. The season of necessary isolation is completing itself. God never designed chosen ones for permanent solitude. The wilderness was the training ground. It was never meant to be the final destination. And the thing about training grounds is that they have a graduation. There is a moment when the formation that could only happen in the stripped-down silence of aloneness is complete enough. Not perfect, never perfect, but complete enough. And the next phase of the assignment requires not just a prepared individual, but a prepared partnership. Two flames, each refined separately, each anchored in something that cannot be shaken, each carrying a piece of the assignment that the other does not carry alone. The divine partner that God is sending into your life right now is not coming to rescue you. This is the most important thing I can tell you about what is approaching, because the enemy loves to intercept this season by sending someone who feels like a rescue right when you are the most exhausted and the most desperate for relief. A rescue is counterfeit alignment. What is coming is not a rescue. What is coming is a recognition, a meeting between two people who have both been through the fire separately and come out carrying something that, when it comes into contact with what the other is carrying, produces a frequency that neither could generate alone. This is the multiplication principle of kingdom partnership. It is not addition, it is exponential. But for you to receive this without turning it into an idol, without making the other person carry the weight of all your unmet need and all your accumulated ache, and God knows how much you have ached, you needed the wilderness to do its full work in you first. You needed to find out what it felt like to be completely alone with God and survive, more than survive, to discover that the silence had a voice in it. That the solitude, as crushing as it felt, was producing something in you that nothing else could have produced. A root system so deep that when the storms of real relationship come, and they will come because the enemy does not sit quietly while two chosen ones align, you will bend, but you will not break. You will be moved, but you will not be swept away. This is the thing about the people who were removed from your life, the connections that ended, the relationships that dissolved in ways that felt like loss and sometimes felt like devastation. I need you to look at those removals through a different lens for a moment. Not the lens of grief, which is real and valid and does not need to be bypassed, but the lens of protection. Every connection that God removed from your life before it was time for it to go was a connection that, had it remained, would have slowly and quietly destroyed your assignment. Not always through dramatic violence, sometimes through the slow corrosion of constantly editing yourself to be acceptable. Sometimes through the gradual lowering of your ceiling to match the height of someone else's comfort. Sometimes simply through the ongoing investment of your most precious spiritual energy into a container that could never hold what you were pouring into it. God is not cruel when He removes people. He is surgical. He sees the entire trajectory of your story, the chapters you have not read yet, the partnerships that are waiting on the other side of these losses, the version of yourself that only becomes possible when certain attachments are no longer consuming the energy that your assignment requires. The removal felt like abandonment because you were inside it. From inside a removal, it is almost impossible to see the protection in it. But from the distance of time, and I am asking you to trust me on this, even before you have that distance, the things that were taken from you were taken because something far better requires the space that they were occupying. But here is where I need to issue a warning that is as important as any promise in this message. Remember Lot's wife. She had been delivered. She had been physically removed from the city of destruction by angels who took her by the hand and practically pulled her out. She had the miraculous intervention. She had the clear, unambiguous instruction: do not look back. And yet, in the moment of deliverance, with her future directly in front of her and her destruction directly behind her, she turned around. And the moment she turned, she became a pillar of salt. Frozen, preserved in the posture of looking backward, unable to move into what was ahead because she was too attached to what was behind. There is a version of you that could receive everything that is coming and still lose it, not through lack of worthiness, but through the backward posture of continuing to mourn what was removed, continuing to seek approval from the people who were designed to misunderstand you, continuing to knock on doors that God Himself has closed, because the closure felt like rejection rather than protection. Do not be Lot's wife. The old approvals that you spent years pursuing, from the family that minimized you, from the community that glazed over when you spoke your deepest truth, from the relationship that required you to be smaller to feel safe, those approvals were always a fire, and when you were inside them, the fire felt like warmth. But warmth and destruction can feel identical when you are cold enough and lonely enough to stop caring about the difference. The withdrawal from those false sources of validation is going to feel like grief, and it is grief, but it is the grief of leaving behind a burning building. You feel the heat leaving your skin, you feel the absence of the familiar, and in that moment, everything in you will want to turn around. Let the tears come. Let the grief move through you, and keep walking forward. The chains that you are breaking do not belong only to you. This is something that chosen ones often discover at this stage of the journey. The work you are doing on yourself, the patterns you are refusing to carry forward, the cycles you are choosing to end. This work is not only personal, it is generational. You are standing at a junction in a bloodline where the story has the potential to change direction. The epigenetic weight of what was passed down to you, the unspoken griefs, the suppressed gifts, the chronic smallness, the reflexive shrinking in the presence of authority, all of it stops at the point where you decide it stops. You did not ask to carry what was handed to you, but you have the authority to decide what gets handed forward. The ancestors who could not break free are not watching you with judgment. They are watching you with something that looks a lot like desperate hope. The ones in your lineage who had the same fire you have, who felt the same glass wall between themselves and the people around them, who swallowed the same tears under their own versions of the shower. They lived their entire lives never knowing that what they felt was not madness, but mandate. You are walking in what they could not walk in. And the freedom you step into now does not stop with you. It moves through time in both directions. The new tribe is already assembling. I need you to hold that sentence in your body and let it be real for a moment. Not the people who tolerate you, not the people who appreciate you in small, cautious doses while remaining fundamentally committed to your smallness. Not the ones who celebrate the version of you that does not challenge them. The real ones. The ones who carry their own flames and know what it costs. The ones who have also been misunderstood in rooms that should have known better. Who have also swallowed grief in showers. Who have also arrived at tables and felt the glass go up. Who have come through their own wilderness carrying the marks of the formation and the fire. These people are not hypothetical. They are real. They are in motion, and heaven has been working on the coordination of your convergence with a precision that will feel unmistakable when it begins to manifest. You will not have to perform for them. You will not have to edit yourself into something more palatable or less intense or more agreeable. You will walk into a room, and for the first time in longer than you can remember, the glass wall will not go up. You will speak and their eyes will not glaze. They will lean in. Because what you carry in your voice is the exact frequency that their soul has been tuning for in the silence of its own wilderness. And when two people who have each walked through the fire separately finally stand in the same room, there is a recognition that happens below the level of conversation, below the level of introduction and small talk and carefully managed first impressions. Something in the bones knows, something in the oldest layer of the soul says, there you are. I have been waiting. The divine partner is not just a relationship, it is a signal. It is the visible confirmation of a spiritual reality that has been true the entire time. That your isolation was seasonal, not permanent, that your ache for genuine belonging was not delusion, but prophecy, that the love you have been capable of giving, the kind of love that chosen ones carry, the deep, seeing, refusing to be shallow kind of love, was never going to find its home in the containers that could not hold you. It was always waiting for someone built to receive it. And that person has been in their own wilderness, being formed by their own fire, being stripped of their own false attachments, being made ready for the exact weight of what you are going to bring into their life. Rise up. That is not a metaphor. That is an instruction. Rise up out of the posture of someone waiting to be chosen and into the posture of someone who understands that they already have been. The rejection was never the verdict. The wilderness was never the address. The loneliness was never the definition. You were always the firstborn of a new bloodline, always the carrier of something that outlasted every environment that tried to contain it, always the fire that the darkness could not extinguish, no matter how many instruments it sent against the flame. Rise up and step into the alignment that has been waiting on the other side of every loss, every silence, every dinner you survived by swallowing what you really wanted to say. Rise up. Your isolation is ending. Your new season has already begun. If you study the trilogy, The 3 Keys to a Prosperous Life, which link is in the pinned comment, you will see that everything I have described in this message, the ache of the invisible table, the wilderness formation, the generational chain breaking, and most importantly, the preparation for the divine partnership that is moving toward you right now, is not just poetic language. It is a mapped, structured, spiritually grounded framework for navigating the exact transition you are standing inside of. The link is right there in the pinned comment. Do not scroll past it. Do not tell yourself you will come back to it later. The season you are in right now is too important and too precise for you to receive it without the full framework in your hands. Go find it. Let it meet you where you actually are. Because what God is building around you and through you and toward you deserves every tool He has prepared for this exact moment. Go find the link. Your next chapter is already written. It is time to start living it.